Dadhood. Modern Dadhood podcast.
Here we are.
Hi.
I almost thought you were gonna do silent treatment, like you were too nervous.
The whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, as it turns out, I'm just a real sensitive individual.
Here we are, Modern Dadhood, episode 001.
One.
Right? Mm-hmm. My name's Adam Flaherty. Your name?
My name is Marc Checket.
Mark with an
M.
So we are the co-hosts of Modern Dadhood. What? You're drinking water. You're pointing your finger. Nobody can see. What are you pointing
We're
about?
Co-hosts of Modern Dadhood, the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something you wanted to.
No, you're right.
Oh, okay.
I was affirming it. You're right.
Modern Dadhood is something that I came up with. I don't know, a while back, months back, and started talking to you about pretty quick. And in short, what I want Modern Dadhood to be is an ongoing conversation. Conversation about the awesome things, about the hard things, the challenges, and just the general insanity of being a dad in this moment.
That's beautiful.
In this moment, right now.
Right now.
Because it's wild.
It's pretty wild.
A little bit about us, myself, Adam here speaking. I'm a father of two, a happily married father of two daughters, 5.5 and 2.5. They are the absolute joys of my life. I'm being their dad makes me more proud than anything else that I've done in my whole life. And that's the major inspiration for me for doing this podcast. And you, Mark?
And I wish I could say the same. No, that's not true at all. I'm also married to a wonderful woman named Jamie, and we have two children together, twins, in fact, boys. They're currently 19 months old, and it's been a wild ride thus far, very much like a roller coaster, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I've learned a ton about everything. I've learned a lot about me. I've learned a lot about marriage. I've learned a lot about children. And it's been amazing. And I love talking about it, and I love thinking about it, and I love discussing it with you, Adam.
And that's why we're here. I want to give a big, huge shout out and thank you to Casper Baby Pants, also known as Chris Ballou, a musician who I've looked up to and found drawn inspiration from for decades, literally decades now. Has always been one of my favorites, and he was so gracious to let us use one of his awesome songs as the theme to Modern Dadhood. I also want to thank Spencer Albee, a good friend and fellow musician who also collaborated on the music for this program. So thank you to those two guys. And also, Mark, thank you to you. Do you know why?
I haven't the foggiest.
Well, you're an amazing graphic designer, and you created the artwork for Modern Dadhood.
I did.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the recognition.
So neither Mark nor I have been podcasters in the past. However, I will say that we both work in the digital marketing space, and I run a video production company. And Mark, speak to your role in your agency.
I'm an art director at a marketing and branding agency.
Wonderful. So all that to say that while we have not created podcasts in the past, we are both big fans, and it is our profession to tell stories through digital channels.
Accurate.
All right, cool. What can you expect to get from Modern Dadhood? I think what you can expect to get is an ongoing conversation with like-minded dads about things that matter to us. And like I said, there are hard things that we go through. There are incredibly rewarding things that we go through. There's confusing things. What's important to know is that Mark and I are not experts. We're not here to tell you what you're doing right or what you're doing wrong.
I would say that we're here to celebrate and commiserate alike with you dads out there, you, Adam, sitting right there.
Yeah.
Me, Mark, sitting right here. We're here to be a soundboard for you to bounce ideas off of, to celebrate the little things that take place, the little proud moments that you want to talk about, that you want to share, that you want to gloat. Go ahead and gloat, and also there's a lot of difficult situations that we find ourselves in. And above all else, I would say that we're here to say you are not the only one feeling what you're feeling at this particular moment in life. Whether that means it's 2:00 in the morning and your kid has just gotten up for the third time, or it's, bedtime and your kid has escaped the bath and is now running down the hallway chasing the dog, and you're feeling like you're just losing your mind. You might be losing your mind.
You probably are.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
you might be losing your mind, but you're not the only one who's feeling like that. We feel like that, and there's plenty of dads out there that feel like that. And here's a place for us to talk about these things.
In fact, we so look forward to including you in this conversation. So we totally welcome you and encourage you to email us at hey, H-E-Y, as in like,
hey,
yo at moderndadhood.com. That will come to Mark and to Adam, and we'll do our best to respond really quickly. So please send us a message. We look forward to involving you in this program. Lastly, I'll say that if you are curious as to what these weird, potentially unappealing voices look like, you can go to moderndadhood.com. You will be able to listen to episodes there, but you'll also see a video where we introduce ourselves, give you a little bit more succinct of an idea of what you can expect from this program moving forward.
You'll see how handsome we are.
No joke, we're a couple of odd ducks.
You say odd, I say handsome.
Mm-hmm. Mark, let our friends know what they can expect in terms of format for these episodes.
I'm glad you brought that up, Adam, because the format of Modern Dadhood is going to generally be on this episode. It's going to be an interview show. You're going to hear from a different guest every episode. We're going to have various themes that we're going to touch upon from episode to episode. And there's also going to be a few recurring segments that probably take place. We're going to try to keep things a little bit lighthearted, but on occasion, things might get a little bit serious. You might get a little sad. Somebody on the podcast might cry.
It's going to get dark.
It might get a little bit dark. Yeah. I think it's going to be a reflection of actual, real life.
So in this first episode, we're not going to assign a theme because we've just spent so much time talking about what we want this podcast to be and what our listeners can expect from it. So we're going to skip right over the theme this time. We're going to call the theme introduction or the setup.
It's beautiful.
But I think we probably should move right on into a segment that's going to become recurring.
We're going to have recurring segments in this podcast.
Tell us what this one is.
Let me get my notes that are in my mind. My mind notes. You didn't just hear me set down my notes.
That sounded an awful lot like an iPhone being set down on the table next to your microphone.
It wasn't. So there's going to be recurring segments in this podcast. One of them is going to be something we lovingly refer to as, so that's a thing now.
That's a thing now.
So that's a thing now. And here's the idea. Somebody reveals a thing that's going on that seemingly came out of nowhere. And it could be something that is cute and you just want to share it, right? It could be something that's funny and you're going to try to share that aspect of it. Or it's something that's just
cringeworthy.
Yeah, awful.
Embarrassing.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
And something that they do and they see that it makes you cringe. And because they can see it, their inner monologue says, I'm going to do that again in 5 seconds.
Yep.
And then when you cringe again, they say, I'm going to try that again in 10 minutes.
Yep.
But I'm going to wait till different people are around.
Yeah. I'm going to wait till it's in much worse time.
Yeah. So what's a thing now?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked, Adam. And I'll tell you. So I'm a dad. I think you knew that.
Yeah.
I have 2 children.
Yeah.
Twins. They're not identical twins, but they tend to mirror one another's actions on occasion. It's not a constant thing, but they tend to do that. So we were eating lunch the other weekend.
What were you having?
It was last weekend. It was probably something cheese related. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. One of my sons decided that he wasn't going to eat. Instead, he was going to sort of ball up his fist, but leave one finger just out there, way out there. It was the pointer.
Yeah.
It was the pointer finger. It's like there's a natural one to leave out there.
That's the one.
And I don't know why, but it became a thing at that moment for him to sort of shove that whole pointer finger right into the mouth, right to the back of the throat, all the way back, all the way back. You know, the dangly thing?
Yeah.
Past that.
It doesn't feel good.
No. And so he gagged.
As you do.
Yeah. His sort of pale complexion turned to this like beet red for like just a split second. And it was a real gag. It was like I saw his body kind of hurl forward a little bit.
Yeah. Your body's not expecting that feeling.
No, the whole thing came as a shock to all parts of both him and me.
Yeah.
And so he did that. He gagged himself, and then he did it again, and then he did it again. And there was a little bit of laughter in there in between coming from him. Not from me.
Meanwhile, twin brother is right there too, witnessing this whole thing.
There to his left, my right, is his brother watching the whole time, eating. But it became clear to me that he was just going to join in this little game. So suddenly I'm having lunch with two children who are forcefully, it's one of those words, just going to town on the backs of their throats and gagging repeatedly.
So twin who's witnessing this, how did it become obvious to you that he was going to participate? Was it like slow motion? You saw his index finger rise up too?
Yeah, I think it started in his eyes. I could see it in his eyes. They went from sort of a wide-eyed observation type, shape to sort of a squinty kind of glint, like hey, I have an idea.
So it went from like, holy shit, like my brother's in some serious trouble here to, wait a minute, actually he's okay. And now he's kind of laughing about it to, I want to laugh too. So I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah. And I feel like between baby one and baby two, I call them babies. They're 19. They're going to always be babies. But between baby one partaking and baby two partaking, I have to say that I have to accept a little bit of the blame because of my reaction.
Which was?
Well, why don't you tell me what you would have done?
So I think right out of the gate, I would have had some concern, right? Because if there's actually choking, some kind of choking happening, then I need to spring to action. But as soon as I realize that the finger comes right out and there's no actual safety concern, I don't think I can hold back laughter. And I have a problem with that. In fact, my wife and I both do that when, not when there's a safety thing, but when one of our daughters has like a crazy, outburst of anger or something, we have a hard time controlling, like laughing. We have to hide our faces. So that's what I would have done. And once they really got each other, the boys got each other laughing and continued doing it. I mean, I'd probably let it go for about 15 or 20 seconds. And at that point I would say, all right, that's enough, because you're going to make yourself throw up.
You would have tried, you would have gotten to a point where you're going to reason with them and try to get them to see the error of their ways.
Yeah. Gently take their hands and try to move them away from the mouths and just explain that, this isn't, you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
It's going to end badly.
Yeah. Smart.
And how did you proceed?
I laughed a lot. It was funny. It was really funny. I mean, yeah, it was clear that they weren't going so far as to trigger any real, gnarliness, but they thought it was funny and they were laughing. So I just kind of joined in and laughed.
So that's a thing now.
That's the thing now.
Do they still do it?
The allure of it has worn off a little bit, I think. I think it's a phase that it's on its way out.
Good. Yeah. I mean, they'll find something else equally ridiculous and, slightly dangerous that entertains them.
I'm sure.
What I'm going to do now is ask our friends who are listening to get a little bit grassroots with us, to tell their friends about this program. Word of mouth. I don't care about social media.
No. Who does?
Social media is a thing, though.
It is.
It
It's
is a
out there.
thing.
You can't ignore it.
So, do the social media thing, find our website. It's called moderndadhood.com. But really, it's just about sort of telling your friends and then, going to the places where you listen to your podcasts.
Yeah, and you out there, you want to talk about these things. You want to listen to other dads talk about these things. You've got problems that you're just itching to explore.
Gotta talk about it.
We're here to scratch
That
itch.
their itches. Okay. I think that probably is a great spot to end our, should we call it pilot episode of Modern Dadhood?
Yeah, I think they couldn't have ended any better.
Please subscribe, listen, and download. And I think that was episode 1 of Modern Dadhood.
I think that's it. I'm gonna check my notes.
Adios. I can't say adios. That's an embarrassing ending.
What would a dad say?
Fare thee well.
How about, all right, you guys ready to rock and roll?
Right?
Yeah, no, that's a way to do it.
We'll find a good way to end it one day.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening.
thank you.
Podcast.